Today we're just going to be talking about the simple materializing items and putting a custom texture in it so that we can actually just see how quickly it looks, and then from there we can make something more complicated and build off of it. So first, let's just talk about the basics. So the basics actually involve us just going into polyhaven.com or ambient CG or any other website which has some free photoscan textures. In my case, I downloaded two of them or three of them, and I have them here. Now what you're going to notice is they actually have EXRs. So right now I created two of them, or like I transformed them from EXR to PNGs, and EXR is a format for pictures. Now it's not one that Unigine supports, so you actually do have to convert it. You have two ways of converting it. So after downloading everything by clicking download and having them extracted, you can go into like an online convert website and just convert the image, or you can have a function inside Photoshop. So in my case, I have the CS6. I can just drag it in here and we have EXR.io. It's a plugin that opens EXR, so you can open it up, you have this, and then you can change it into PNG. So now I have all these. So I'm going to take the ones that are visually seeable, and I'm just going to drag it into textures, and that's what I did right here. So I have brick walls. I'm just going to remove, actually I'm going to keep it, it doesn't really matter. Alright, so now we have this. So the first thing we're going to do is create a material, and if you don't know how to do that, we'll do a quick one right here. So we have a default material on all objects, and it's called a mesh base, which is a read-only. So we just click plus, and it's going to create a material for us in whatever folder we're open. So now we have it here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just add one more thing. So let's just say we have these four outlined right here, the bark willow, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to just assign this mesh base into, let's see, the plane. I'm going to assign it into this flat piece of land. Actually, both the cuboids and that have it, so I'll just use it on one so we can see the difference. All right, so inside here, the only thing we're going to change actually is, let's say we have all four right here. We have a roughness, a normal, a displacement, and a diffuse. So to change this, or to add them, we actually go into the textures and we add them. But as you can see, we have four and it only shows three. So we go into the displacement and we just put a parallax occlusion. And then when we go into the textures, we just map them out. So to map it, diffuse goes into the albedo. All right, the normal goes into the normal, the displacement goes into the displacement, and then the roughness goes into the shading. Now, the thing is, you'll see, is that it's very reflective, and that's due to Unigine's default settings. So we're just going to remove the specular and put it off, and now we have a box of willow bark, and it gives off that PBR paint. Now if I were to just put this mesh material over here, it doesn't make sense, but let's say we put it here, that's more stretched, it makes no sense, but over here definitely makes perfect sense. Alright, so now that we actually have this object, let's start painting on top of it, or in my case, I want to make it a little different by, let's remove this, this, and this, and we're just going to put the wall number 6 instead. It's a lot easier to see. So we got the wall number 6. As you can see, looks pretty cool. I don't have the extra stuff, but it looks nice so far. So I want to add some kind of color onto it, or a texture, a quick texture, just to see how it would look like if I added some modifications. So to do that, we go into the plane itself, right? And we scroll up a little bit, and right here where we have Service Custom Texture, we click, and then it asks you to have a texture. So now, since we have nothing, we could just press plus. I'm gonna add it right here with the base mat. I'm gonna say plus, and it's gonna ask for a size. I'll just choose the default. And I'm gonna save it exactly in the same place. And I'm just gonna call it texture for now. All right? So now that we have this, let's just go into our texture paint mode, and we have our basic texture. So now that we created a texture, you could see that shading is off, but albedo and normal are existing. So when we go into our mesh base, and we go into the parameters and we go into textures, you can see that we changed the albedo and normal. So now whatever changes we're going to be doing is going to affect these two. And this is the quick method. So make sure you have backups. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change the albedo for now. That's all I'm going to change. And the reason why I'm going to do that is so we can see like a quick change. And let's say if you had like an object material that had this, or like let's say you had walls over here and you just wanted to see how it looked like, this is like your quick dirty way of doing it. And then afterwards you can add more into it, or a more complicated procedure, which we'll do next episode. So to do this, just click on any diffuse you want to add. So in my case, I'll just click on the 5 one. I'm going to put that as the brush texture. All right, and when I click in it, so let's just choose a radius of like 1. So we have this, and we have a circle. Now we have a few strokes, right? Now if you do a stroke mode, it just strokes it. You can also rotate along the stroke, so when you do it, it rotates along it. And then you can also do a brush spacing percentage, where it brushes along a percentage of how much spacing between the size. Now, if you're in a stroke mode of stamp, you can just click and hold it, and it will show you where it's gonna place it. So something like this, right? But it doesn't look good, so I'm gonna remove the rotate along axis, and it's like that. And then it says brush angle, I'm gonna put it 0, so it's exactly 0, and we can just put it like this, a little bit like this, over here like this, but it doesn't look proper. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the texture opacity, and I'm just going to use one of these white texture brushes, and I'm just going to create the radius as 1. Just going to print it right here, print it right here, right here. Let's just remove the put the angle as 180, just so it looks a bit bigger. Then I'm gonna make this one a 1.5, just like that. And now we have like a quick look. Now we can also add a little bit of bark willow, makes it look a little more dirt. And then we could just use a little bit of that, and then we can just change the sizing like that. And as you can see, you have the freedom of choosing whatever you like here, right? So let's just do this proper. All right, so now that we have a somewhat good looking texture, we're just gonna save it. So save it to current texture or save it to a new texture. Now this is your choice. If we want to save it as a new texture, we can do that. So I'll just do that then. Wall underscore dirty underscore albedo. Right? So now we have that wall albedo. So now we can just go back to object mode. Right? And now, as you can see, we saved it into a specific albedo. And now we can remove this. And if we go into texture, we can just add that albedo right there. And now, as you can see, it added that as a paint. So this is your quick method of adding a dirty type of texture onto another texture. Now you'll also notice like the mud itself actually follows the normal of the bricks and not its own normal. So that's going to be the next episode where we actually do the complicated version, which also takes care of, let's say for these bricks, it also takes care of these bricks' normals into play, and it adds it into it. Alright, so other than that, introduction to dirty texturing or quick texturing is complete. Next episode is going to be on material graphs and how to add complicated texturing on top of regular textures. Alright, until then, I will see you guys next time. Alright, goodbye.